所以我想Dr. Fuchs 他在运动科技已经经营了许多年，所以由他来分享这个主题再适合不过。待会他要跟各位分享的是生成式 AI 在体育领域的应用，那他也会给现场的各位一些实际的例子。所以我们现在想要借用各位最热烈的掌声来欢迎我们的 Dr. Fuchs。
Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction, for the warm welcoming. Thank you for your attendance and your interest in this topic. I will talk a little bit about AI, in particular about generative AI, so you know ChatGPT and so on, things that everyone can use. And I want to show some stuff. It started with what a student of mine tried to explore. And then after a while, I found it interesting, and I also tried some stuff, what you can do with, for example, ChatGPT. But I will show a little bit how well it works. Does it work very well or not so much? Very often we hear, oh, it's getting better every month, every year. Time is passing by very fast. Development is happening very quickly. So let's take a look. Before we start, I want to ask you some questions. I want to know from you, and please just raise your hand. You don't need to speak. First question, who has used AI before? Who has used it? Just raise your hand. Thank you very much. Not everyone, but roughly 80%, let's say. Second question, who uses it frequently? Maybe every day, every week. Okay, that is less than 20%, I think. Who already used it today? It's early afternoon, 1:30. About the same amount of people. So maybe it's a matter of definition also. I think everyone used it, is using it very, very frequently, and probably already today. If you came here with Google Maps and you wanted to know what is the navigation, the fastest route to here, Google Maps used AI to find the best route. If you watched something on YouTube, the algorithm gave you recommendations, what to watch next, what could be interesting for you, also AI. Or if on the MRT you were listening to Spotify, also their recommendations. So you use it, we use it all the time basically, indirectly. The company is using it for us, and then they give us a product and features and so on. Let's see, we start with a short video, what AI can do else for us.
Hey there, future leaders. Imagine a world where your wildest sci-fi dreams come true. Welcome to the age of artificial intelligence. From revolutionizing healthcare with precision diagnostics to transforming transportation with self-driving cars, AI is reshaping every corner of our lives. Think of it as your personal assistant, but on steroids. Let's dive into some jaw-dropping innovations. First up, AI in education. Picture a classroom where your learning experience is customized just for you. AI-powered tutors that adapt to your needs, helping you ace that next exam. Say goodbye to one-size-fits-all learning. Next, let's talk about smart homes. Ever wished your home could think for you? With AI, your home can adjust the thermostat, order groceries, and even predict when you're running low on essentials. All while you kick back and relax. And the fun doesn't stop there. AI in gaming is taking immersive experiences to a whole new level. Imagine NPCs so intelligent they react and adapt to your every move. Games that learn from you and evolve, making every playthrough unique. But what about creativity? AI isn't just logical, it's also artistic. From composing music to creating stunning visual art, AI is pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Think of it as having a co-creator who never runs out of ideas. Now let's talk sports. AI is revolutionizing the way athletes train and perform. Imagine having a personal coach that analyzes your every move, providing real-time feedback to enhance your performance. Smart wearables track your data, helping you reach peak condition. Coaches and analysts are also leveraging AI to predict game strategies and outcomes. With AI, teams can gain a competitive edge by understanding their opponents better and making data-driven decisions. It's like having a crystal ball for sports. So, are you ready to embrace the future? The era of AI is not just coming, it's already here. And guess what? You have a front row seat to witness history in the making. Stay curious, stay inspired, and remember, the future is now.
Doesn't that sound amazing? So many things it can do, so many use cases, so many fields where it can be used. But if we think about it a little bit closer and assess a little bit more critically what we have just seen, I think it's not impressive at all. And the video was not impressive at all. It was a bunch of waffling, empty claims, not a lot of concrete information how the things are actually achieved, just claiming a lot of benefits. Oh, it's so innovative. Oh, it's so good. Also, the video showed a lot of information that is relatively unrelated to the things that the voice was speaking. A sofa and a TV on the screen, an orange on tables, a robot spinning around. What is this telling us about crazy, impressive AI innovations? So very often we are facing the claim of innovations, in sports also, but not so much evidence and concrete information is provided. This is not very surprising in this case because this video was fully AI generated. Every picture you saw, the entire video, also the audio. And it took me exactly like 30 seconds to generate it. The first prompt, just asking for a video, and then I realized, oh, I forgot I need a video about sports. So second prompt telling, okay, make it about sports. That is the outcome that you get. I would say not really, really good. If a student of mine was doing this, and I really needed a good video, no way to graduate. Way too bad. From a human being, you would expect much, much more. So I want to talk a little bit about generative AI in particular, because in generative AI, every one of us can use it. Not only the company integrating some algorithms and so on and then giving us specific features, but every one of us can use ChatGPT. But most of us, we only use it like a personal assistant at best if we are using it, and not everyone is using it. I use it a lot for translations in Taiwan, but not much more than this. Of course, AI can be used in many, many different things, mostly integrated in products, and then only specific features are used for us. So in sports, we see it in variables. AI can help automate processes, of course. We can get feedback very, very quickly then. We can use it for tactical analysis. But generative AI is the thing that we want to focus on today. And generative AI, as you know, is working with text. But it can do much, much more. It can also use pictures, entire videos, and audio. And not only as an import, so you upload the material, but also exporting. Export, you just saw, you witnessed the video, but I can also upload, so import a video and ask to analyze the video. The same for audio, the same for pictures. And this is what we want to take a look at today. The first thing I want to show you was an idea of a student, already over 1 year ago. He wanted to use ChatGPT as a yoga teacher. He was a yoga practitioner, and he was relatively good, he said. He wanted to become a teacher. He wanted to know how good the feedback of ChatGPT is. So he used, back then it was not for free yet, the ChatGPT 4.0 version, so he paid for it. And then this is the pose that he was doing, and the pictures you find on Google if you look for this pose. So keep this in mind, this is the information that ChatGPT is trained with. The Warrior One pose. He added a prompt with instruction what to do. Basically, I summarized, he wanted to have text feedback and visual feedback. So he wanted to have a picture also, and he wanted to have a comparison, correct version, incorrect version. So he wanted to have two pictures showing what is good, what is bad. He wanted customized instructions how to do it correctly. He wanted, for example, also the same background behind the athlete in these pictures. And he informed ChatGPT that the form that he shows, the pictures he uploads, can be correct, they can be adjusted for personal individual needs, or they can be simply wrong. So completely open to ChatGPT to assess. He did this 4 times, uploading 4 different pictures, or sets of pictures. On the left, the test 1, you see he on purpose lifted his heel, the back heel here. On the very right side, you see he planted the heel into the ground. Left version is considered bad or not properly good. On the right side, it was meant to be good. In between, a combination between wrong and good, or twice wrong with different kinds of information. Let's see what ChatGPT provided as an output. In 3 of these 4 cases, ChatGPT did not even recognize the posture. Test 2, we see that it was the warrior 1 pose. In all other 3, it said tree pose. Interestingly, it said in the text, the pictures. So only the 1 test was helpful at all in terms of we are talking about the same posture. But if you at maybe we can change the microphone. Okay, thank you very much. Even if we take a look at this 1 test, the test 2, which at least detected the right posture, we don't see what is wrong, what is right. These symbols tell you nothing. So we still don't know what to do different. And then also look at the differences between the left and the right side, not too huge differences. Not very helpful overall. So the student a little bit this, and I told him, let's try, do the same thing again. Let's try again, because ChatGPT is like a random box. It works a little bit better, sometimes not so good. Again, 2 times, it was even the wrong pose. So not helpful at test. And test 4 showed us the right pose, but still the information was not very valuable. Test 2, the correct version, at least we can, looks still very bad. And the same was for test 4, where the correct version is really not good at all. And if you take on the human being here, it doesn't even have an arm. So what is it telling you? What to do with your arm? Just remove it. Still not good. So the student was getting a little bit more depressive, and he decided to try something different. He told ChatGPT now that it is the warrior 1 pose. So he gave more information. Still asking for the same feedback. So we have a picture that looks much better now, much better. On the left side, we see correct alignment, correct posture. On the right side, incorrect. But again, let's take a closer look and think about how helpful is it actually. At first sight, it looks more helpful. What are the things we can actually learn from it? 2 things are serious, the other 3 are jokes. Don't take it serious. First one, correct on the left side, squared hips and shoulders. So the hip is pointing forward, squared. Really good. So ChatGPT gave a very valuable and correct. Let's see how many more we have. The next feedback number 2, arms down. That is strange. The student was doing the arm up, and we saw in Google all the pictures showed arm up, and now it tells us it's correct to have the arms down. And it would be incorrect to have the arms up. Makes no sense. And then all the rest that we can see on the picture also doesn't make any sense. So the student was in particular asking ChatGPT to use the same background, and ChatGPT says, no, I want to have these Myanmar temples in the background, looks nicer. Also the difference in clothing, the shorts, correct if you wear shorts, incorrect if you wear long trousers. And the most important, of course, the backpack. I don't know why ChatGPT suddenly added a backpack on the back. Especially if you have the backpack with straps, not good, incorrect. It must be glued to the back without straps, then it's correct posture. So we can see it does a lot of things that are not meaningful at all. Student was getting even a little bit more frustrated. And again, I said, okay, try one more, maybe just bad luck. So again, it clarified it was a Warrior 1 pose, still asking for visual comparison. That's the new result. I think we don't need to discuss a lot about it to realize that if this happens to you, you don't need ChatGPT, you need a medical doctor and go straight to the hospital. Then you have a very, very big problem. It's so strange that some of these feedbacks also make no sense at all. So for example, how can it be that it shows something that is meant to be correct, but it shows many comments we cannot even read because the text is not properly displayed, but you can see too far. If something is too, it cannot be correct. So that no matter what is written there, it doesn't make any sense. We also see that many things that are addressed, ankles, shoulders, in both versions, they actually look exactly the same in both pictures. There is no difference. So how can the one be correct and the other one incorrect? Okay, so this entire thing with pictures didn't work at all. So I told the student to focus only on text-based feedback. Still upload the pictures, but ask only for text feedback. And the first surprising thing to me was, then it is able to detect the right pose. It's the same material, the same pictures. It's just asking for different feedback. So you see it is able to detect the right pose, to analyze correctly, but it gives you wrong feedback if you ask for the pictures. Even in the text, when asking for both, for text and picture, even the text said it was yoga, tree pose. Strange. But then the really cool thing is it identified the back heel lifting up. And I think, to be honest, that's quite cool, because it's not so easy to see on the picture. And ChatGPT managed to see it. Then it provided a couple of customized instructions, most of them quite useful, I would say. Pressing the back heel further, which was the main problem. But also one other interesting thing, slightly tuck the tailbone to prevent overarching the lower back. That is basically, if you're doing this, you're overarching. And this was not intended by the student, but if you take a close look at the picture, I think ChatGPT may be right here, that there is a slight tendency to overarching the lower back. So really cool, really impressive. What happened to the test 4? This was the one where it was the attempt to present a correct form, doing it in a good way, with the heel down. Again, it identified the pose correct. So that is very good. We are at 100% now, if talking about text-based feedback. And the foot position was completely correctly identified, with the heel pressed down to the ground. But it showed us something different. Something that the student did not intend. About the hips and the torso, it says, your hips and torso appear upright, but ensure the hips are squared forward. This is squared, this is not squared. And this was not planned by the student, but ChatGPT is absolutely right. The hips are not squared here anymore, but they should be. And if you zoom it out a little bit and you compare the test 1, where it was squared, and ChatGPT didn't say anything about the hip, everything was fine, so it's correct. And test 4 now, hips were not squared, and ChatGPT saw it correctly. Really, really cool, I think. The student himself didn't realize. So what can we say about ChatGPT as a yoga teacher after seeing these examples? For visual feedback, absolutely useless. At least right now. These results were not good. This was 1 year ago with the model 4.0. The text feedback was really good, I think. At least, certainly very, very promising. Worth to do a more scientific investigation. But today, we're not talking about very strictly scientific stuff. So, just 1 or 2 months ago, so 1 year later, maybe everything got better, right? I wanted to try some more things. How about using generative AI? I used ChatGPT again, same model, 4.0, but 1 year later. How does it work if we use it as a strength and conditioning coach? In particular, analyzing squats. Squats are used for many, many sports in training. And there should be a large database that ChatGPT can use how to do squats properly. I used exactly the same input that the student 1 year ago used. I just changed, of course, the exercise into a squat exercise, and I was asking only about text feedback because we saw the visual feedback didn't work very well. So I removed in the middle all these specifications about the visual feedback. Don't need it. The rest was the same prompt. And ChatGPT says, yes, of course, I can do it for you. It tells me to upload pictures from different stages of the squat. And then I also clarified, in addition, what kind of squat, that I had the arms in front of the body. Good, then I uploaded 3 pictures. In the middle, when going down, at the bottom, and in the middle when going up again. And basically, we will today focus only on the poor execution. I tried on purpose to make something bad, to squeeze my knees inside, which is very unhealthy for your knees, and on purpose to round my lower back. And I wanted to see if ChatGPT says anything about it. It gave me results about the general form, every single joint, muscle activation, then a summary and a recommendation. Let's take a look. So first picture, when going down, it says everything looks nice and fine. Can be maybe still okay. Joint by joint, it said about the knees, they start to travel forward over the toes, good tracking, no visible valgus. Valgus is exactly the thing that I tried to do wrong. Okay? I think on the first picture, maybe it's still okay. but to be very honest, I think it's already a little bit critical. It also gave some more recommendations, redundant information, partly irrelevant information about the arms, and things that it simply cannot know because you can only see it from the side. Muscle activation, I was a little bit confused about the feedback. I think it was not very valuable at all. It was very speculative to assess muscle activation based on the positions, so I will not go into very deep here. But let's take a look at the second picture, because this is where we can more clearly see that something wrong is going on. It basically still said that everything is fine. Regarding the torso, and I mean the spine is a part of the torso, it even said that it was excellent. In particular, for the knee joint, it says nicely aligned over toes, no valgus, which I would strongly disagree. There absolutely was valgus. Distance between knees matched toe angle. And it gives positive feedback about a bunch of things, also the hips and the spine, which is not correct, not good. The summary was about this picture: excellent bottom position, clean alignment, neutral spine, stable knees. He is grounded, very safe and effective. It is absolutely not safe if your knees fall towards the center like this. And the last picture, I think we can also see the valgus quite clearly here. It again says everything fine basically, and the knees had good tracking and they rose without caving, which we can see is not true. Summary: strong, controlled ascent, very minimal energy leak, good sequencing. No mention of valgus, of the main problem that I tried to display as clearly as possible. My knees even hurt a little bit after this one repetition. What was the entire summary? That we had excellent overall form, well-supported torso, stable knees and ankles and hips, that I used the arms nicely, okay, is not really relevant. No visible joint misalignments or compensations. I would say not very good. The recommendations are largely irrelevant, of course, if the assessment in the first place is already not proper. My summary, my impression of this is it completely failed to identify a crucial flaw, the knee valgus, that I intentionally implemented. This is the most important thing, and this was a complete failure. Other things were largely irrelevant or not even visible from this angle, so it was just making things up or being very speculative about muscle activation. And then the feedback obviously cannot be very helpful if the assessment is already not correct. I did the same for the side view. So that was only front view. Side view, we can see different things. First picture, when going down, it said everything looks nice. And I think in the first picture, it kind of is nice. It's okay. It said the core, the spine, about the core, but the spine, it said neutral lumbar and thoracic posture, no overextension or rounding. And I think on the first picture, that's still okay. But it had a suggestion. Although everything was fine, it suggested something to change. Try externally rotating your hips slightly more. Imagine screwing your feet into the floor to activate glutes earlier in the descent. Consider slowing the tempo here to increase eccentric muscle control. I find it very interesting to talk about tempo when we have a static picture as our data material. also very funny. Second picture, now comes the time to shine for ChatGPT. This must be detected, but it doesn't. It says, in particular about the spine, that it was neutral, no posterior pelvic tilt, which is a weak point for many. Yes, true, it's a weak point for many, and it was absolutely visible on this picture. But didn't see it. And it also says about the core that I held the position well, which I think is not true. It had a suggestion, no major issues here. You could explore slightly pushing knees out further if you ever feel hip impingement. So very interesting, the things that are visible from the side view, the lumbar spine, it says nothing, but perfect, very good. And the thing it cannot see from the side, the knee valgus, now it talks about the knee valgus. But the knee valgus you see from the front side, not from the front, not from the side. Okay, a little bit bizarre. Let's move on to the last picture, when we are going up again. It says that it looks nice, everything was fine, and basically all the feedback about all joints was good. It says, as a suggestion, focus on driving the floor away rather than just standing up. To be honest, I don't really know what this is supposed to mean. This helps engage full posterior chain. If you want to improve explosiveness, consider adding pause, squats, or tempo work here. So, what happened here? Again, a failure to detect the major issue. It said neutral spine and posture throughout. This was clearly not the case. Great ankle and hip mobility allows for clean depth. It was not a clean depth. The recommendations, again, we can skip them. They are not very meaningful if the assessment is already wrong. My takeaway from this experiment, it also failed to detect a crucial flaw, which in this case was the spine alignment. It even said that it was wonderful and perfect and very good. So also here, not really very helpful in my opinion. My conclusion for the squat experiment, very simple, one word is enough, it was horrible. Basically, the major flaws were not identified, and it told me that's good, and it made recommendations about completely other things. So if I had no idea, if I was an athlete or a coach, and I don't know what to think about the pictures, what to change about my form, and I follow these recommendations, I continue with the knee valgus, I continue with my lower spine, and I just change other things like adding tempo work and whatever it suggested. Absolutely not good. But I tried also one other thing, and that was using these pictures, the pictures I had from a video, right? I recorded a video, so I wanted to see how is the result if I directly upload the entire video of the squat. So it was the same squat, the same movement. The only difference is I replaced the pictures by the videos. Same prompt again for ChatGPT, only difference is exchanging the word from picture to video. It agreed again that it will do the analysis. It told me to take 2 videos from different angles, from front and side, which is a very good information. And of course, we did it like this. So we had the front view, looks like this. And you see, whoop, the knees go inside. And the side view, where at the bottom you see the whoop makes a round curve, the lumbar spine. This was the material to work with. This is the result. First explained what it did. It extracted 42 and 51 frames of the video from both sides, which is very, very cool, I think. And we must expect much, much better results from 42 pictures compared to 3 before. So basically it does the same thing, but it just has more pictures. I summarize the entire feedback now, because otherwise it was a lot of feedback. What is good is what it talked about with respect to the pelvis. It mentioned a mild anterior tilt at the top. Okay, not so relevant, I think, at the top. And very interestingly, I have chronic back pain problems, and I know from the doctors that I do not have an anterior tilt, I have a posterior tilt. So wrong, probably, but very funny. But it detected correctly the posterior tilt, the so-called butt wink, at the bottom. The major issue that I tried to do incorrectly there. It detected it correctly, and it said to improve the core control and hip mobility. So this is quite nice, very good. It said some stuff about the torso also, which is okay, but more interestingly is what it said about the arms, that the arms dropped, which is just not true. And it suggested to actively reach forward the entire time, which would be a different variation of the squat. It's not what I did and what I wanted to do and what I showed. And then about the depth of the squat, it says that the approach was parallel and that I should aim for slightly deeper squat position if the mobility allows it. And now, as a critical human thinker, we can know that this information conflicts with the bottom position being unstable and curved, because the bottom position is curved because of a lack of mobility. So since we already know and have seen that it is a curved lumbar spine and there is probably mobility problems, we cannot go deeper because the mobility is not there. It doesn't make any sense to make this suggestion. In fact, it's even a bad suggestion because it will lead to more lumbar spine curve. From the front view, we also got feedback, so for both sides. Here, it identified that the knees go inside, at least one of them. It detected an asymmetry between left and right. And I think this was maybe related to the camera position. Maybe the camera position was not perfectly in the middle, and that's why it looked different on the left and right side. Because objectively speaking, I don't think there was asymmetry. But this is, okay, maybe an error in the setup. But the feedback that the knee goes inside is very good and very helpful. What else do we see? Hips, slight leftward shift during squat is probably, again, this camera placement issue. The feet are flattening possible pronation. That is actually correct. It was something I didn't talk about yet, but I actually also pronated the foot a little bit. And also the recommendation to strengthen the arch and to do, for example, barefoot or balance work is really good to fix this. And the symmetry issue, I already said, that is probably not correct, but cannot blame ChatGPT. That is because of camera position, maybe. So if you combine the two views, front and side view, top priorities were to strengthen the glutes, ignore especially the right side because of the asymmetry, focus on abduction, external rotation. That is really good. That will help with the knee valgus. Improve thoracic extension and core bracing to fix rounding. Well, the rounding is probably related to other reasons, for example, mobility. But the issue at least was addressed. Then address pelvic control to reduce butt wink. Yes, very good, that it identified the butt wink. And enhance foot stability. Also good that it detected this pronation in the foot. So, my conclusion, not perfect, not all of the things were correct or made 100% sense, But most of the observations were right and very helpful. Some of them, rather few, were unfortunately simply wrong. But the most important things, the major flaws, were detected correctly. And this is the most important things. It also gave good recommendations what to train in order to fix these problems. I think that this video analysis of a squat jump, but keep in mind there is a lot of data, so these results are maybe better than other results if you use it for different sports. I think they were more than just promising. They were really interesting and quite good. And I think this is a worthy alternative in absence of a coach already at this stage. So if someone has no coach, and of course no idea about the squat, so otherwise you can take your own video and analyze your own video, I think that is helpful already without a coach. And I even think, even if you have a coach or if you are a coach, I think it's already interesting and beneficial for a simple reason, because it's somewhat objective. Of course, AI is biased based on the data it is trained with, but this is a different bias than we have as individuals. If I am a coach and I know my athletes, of course we try to be neutral, objective, and make the best decisions for the team or for the athlete and so on. But we do have individual preferences. We are subjective in our assessment, and ChatGPT doesn't have the same bias as we have. It has a different bias. So if I am a coach, I may not see things because of my own individual bias, but ChatGPT will see these things. If I have the proper understanding of the technique, I can still decide if ChatGPT is right or wrong. But take, for example, this observation with the hips in the yoga. The student did not realize that the hips were not square anymore. And ChatGPT identified it. Because the student, his mind was so stuck on the heel that he forgot about the hip. And he would not have noticed it. Although he knows. And he is, probably right now he is a coach already. So it can help you to make a more objective assessment, without saying that you should agree or accept everything it says. I also tried ChatGPT for a match analysis. I will go through this very, very quickly, but what I did was I uploaded a match, or parts of a match, of a handball match, and I wanted to try using it for match analysis. Now, I used it only for 1 minute first, and to see how it goes. Basically, I wanted to know if there are any technical errors and what kind of errors. Technical errors can be a wrong pass or walking too many steps with the ball. And I wanted to know the goals. So rather simple things, especially the goals. I informed ChatGPT what I did. In short, I uploaded a 1 minute video. I told which team I'm interested in to know. I checked if ChatGPT knows what technical errors there are, and I wanted to have a list of all of them. And I was asking ChatGPT to count the number of technical errors and also specify them. So what kind of errors, how many times? In this 1 minute, it found 4 technical errors: a bad pass, a goal area violation, a foot fault, and a bad pass again, with time specifications. This is the first example of the bad pass. I always show 10-second videos. The time that you see here when the technical error happens, so here at 13 seconds, is in the middle of the video. So you can count in your head roughly 5 seconds, then you should see the error. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This should be the bad pass, or this one. And you can see nothing happened there. This pass from the center to the left was not a very good pass, but it was not a technical error. The ball was not lost. And certainly it did not happen on the right side, and certainly it was not intercepted. Next example, the goal area violation. For the ones who are not familiar with handball, the offensive players, actually also the defenders, are not allowed to enter this area here. It says that the pivot, that's this player here, the pivot cuts into the goal area too early, steps inside and receives the ball while being in the zone. Let's take a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pivot is doing nothing. The pivot is doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. The pivot was not even involved. It was the left player who entered into a one-on-one situation and he broke through. He or she, it was a female team, threw the ball and after throwing entered the area, but it was a foul. So there was also no technical error. And the referee, you see, the referee shows that it was a foul of this team. So pivot was not involved. Too early makes, by the way, also no sense because there is no early or late. You are never allowed to go in there. And there was no ball reception while being in the zone. Someone was running into the zone with the ball. But the referee already said it's a foul. Next example was supposed to be a foot involved. In handball, you're not allowed to touch the ball with the foot. Should be roughly here. And you saw there was no foot involved. But it was a technical foul, a technical error. They lost the ball because of a miscatch, didn't catch the ball. But no foot was involved, and especially not by the defender. So no foot by anyone, the offender simply drops the ball. It was a technical error though, that was correct. And the last example, a bad pass again. Let's see if this is true. The playmaker attempts a cross pass under pressure, that's a long pass, crossing sides, and the ball goes out of bounds without a teammate touching it. So they lose the ball, it was not caught. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No bad pass. No technical error at all. Was just after a goal. They played back to the middle and started a new offense with a breakthrough and a final goal. So there was not even a cross pass. There was no technical error. The ball didn't go out. Nothing like this happened. So I was asking for the goals because they are easier to see than the technical errors. Let's see what it says. It said the orange team did score 1 goal, the blue team 2 goals. At 36 seconds, successful breakthrough from the left back who shoots into the bottom corner, and then 2 more goals for the blue team. Right in the beginning and at 48 seconds. We don't need to watch the entire video again, but let me summarize and correct, unfortunately. The first goal for the orange team is simply not true. There was no goal. That was the situation where there was a foul, so that was not a goal. But it was roughly correct that at 30 seconds, there was the situation that we just saw with the not successful because it was a foul, breakthrough, but the shot itself landed in the goal. So probably it confused this as a goal. Since it was a foul, it was no goal. Then the second mark here, at 8 seconds, there happened absolutely nothing that was even close to a goal. But at 45 seconds to 51, there happens something that is very, very similar to exactly this description. A quick transition results in a fast break goal from the right wing. That was this claimed technical error with the foot that we just saw. This situation is very well described by these words. It was a quick transition, it resulted in a fast break, and the goal happened from the right wing position. So maybe the time is wrong, but the statement itself is quite good. And then finally, the third goal, a coordinated play ends with a jump shot from the center back. Nothing like this happened around this time. The last goal that happened was at the end, 58 seconds. It was a fast play by a single player, so you cannot talk about a coordinated play. And more importantly, it was the wrong team. It was the orange team, not the blue one. So you cannot even use it for tracking goals, let alone more difficult, complicated things. My summary, 50% of this was good. Some parts were right, like the descriptions were surprisingly, some of them, surprisingly precise. But the overall outcome was not helpful at all. So this, with the video analysis for match analysis, at this state, with this approach, in my opinion, useless, but maybe it will be better in the future. And for sure, we need to keep in mind, ChatGPT and generative AI is not particularly trained for these things. It is just very accessible for us. So, in the future, maybe, hopefully, if these things get better, it could be very accessible for a broad audience, for every single practitioner. And then, if these things work better, then it could be a huge help. If it really will become better or not, I don't know. But I think we should be critical about it, reflective, and check before we use it. Because at least I hear from the first minute this argument that it's very new, but it's developing so fast. In 1 week, in 1 month, it will be so much better. They said the same 1.5 years ago, today, and I didn't see a big jump from my students' work 1 year ago with the yoga compared to the squat results that I tried about 1 month ago. I don't see the development. But maybe it was just bad luck. Or maybe they are working on different things. Who knows? But we should be critical for the future because I think it has a huge potential. It is very promising in some parts. We need to be skeptical because not all of it works well. Because I said for the squat jump, for example, I think it is a valuable addition already. But my recommendation for it is limit the feedback to text-based feedback. Don't use the visual stuff. And use videos instead of single pictures. Good. I hope that maybe 1 or 2 of you can make use of the information in your own sports practice. And I thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Philip Xavier Fuchs. Please stay at the stage as we will present a certification of appreciation. 好，我们请工作人员帮我们拿一下麦克风。在这个当中呢，我们是否在此邀请我们的主持人来到舞台上 ？Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our moderator 洪文柳 on the stage to present the certification. Thank you. 抢上来。好，等一下哦，我们合照一张。Okay, let's make sure we have the perfect photo. Big smile.